Today we have youngest Adhikari from the Adhikari clan. He is a double postgraduate in accounting from London School of Economics. Welcome Kailash.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
Kailash
you, Udit.
Adhikari.
Thank you.
He
Thank
is
you, Mamta.
also the managing director of governance now. Thank you so much for coming up.
Pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to meet you, and it's always a
Pleasure.
pleasure to talking to you. Kailash, to begin with, just want to understand your journey so far. How you started, because I know for a fact that in Adhikari Brothers you are the youngest, and you are probably the youngest when I look up to in my own space to meet none other than Shri Narendra Modi too, right?
No,
So welcome on board.
thank
Just
you.
take us through your journey.
Thank you. So, I was born into a media family. Born in 1990, then did my schooling from Bombay. And basically, since a child, I was always intrigued by the media industry. When I was 10 years old, we had launched Sub TV. It was in 2000. And I remember in those days that I used to be so glued, not only just to watch the content on TV, but I knew I had a sense of pride in the fact that we had launched Sub TV. And whenever in those days the TRPs used to come, I used to look at that. I used to analyze that, how much ever as a child I could.
Yeah.
And numbers were always very intriguing to me. That's how I'm a double postgraduate in accounting, because that's how numbers always came to me. And one very beautiful thing we had, wherein every morning dad used to come to drop me to school, and in that 20 minutes, 25 minutes, half an hour of time, I used to discuss about this week's TRP, what I saw, what I measured. And as compared to that, let's say if a show on Sub TV was working well on 7 p.m, on 8, why a show is not working, what competitor channels are doing. At that time, very handful of channels were there. ZTV, of course, being the first satellite channel to be launched in this country. Then Sub TV, Star had recently come, Sony had recently come. So these were only the gamut of entertainment channels. I think Sahara was also there. Sahara One was also there at that point of time. So that really intrigued me. And as a child, I used to be really enamored by the fact whenever any new show was to be launched on Sub TV, marketing used to happen, promotion used to happen, and hoardings are a big thing in Bombay. So whenever I used to see a Sub TV show hoarding, so I used to feel really happy on that, and on buses and this and that. And even my mother, my mother is a very prolific media personality. She was a news announcer on Doordarshan before she got married to my father. She was an actress in Marathi theatre as well as films. She took a sabbatical for 5 years when I was born in 1990. And in 1995, she came back into work. She's a careeristic woman. And in 1995, when she came back behind the scenes as a director. And her first Marathi serial, Damini, which was produced by Adhikari Brothers, my dad and my late uncle, went on to break every other record that could be possibly there at that time. It was on Didi Sayadri, the Marathi part of the Doordarshan, the Marathi link of the Doordarshan beam. And it ran for more than 9 years, 1601 episodes. And I've actually seen her, both my parents, I've seen them really work hard. Throughout their life, and I believe that they are the real inspiration, and I've in the days also learned a lot from them, and now also every day it's a learning from them, because as a second generation, what you get to know from your first generation, I think you are quite blessed to know that. And prior to 1990, of course, I was not born back then, but what I hear about how my father and my late uncle started, they had a very humble beginning. In Bombay, you have chawls, the chali system, what we call, and the houses are pretty small. And I mean, they are not, they are house, of course, they are home, but they are like just one room. Probably I think we are sitting here in this must be what, 100 or 150 square feet. Just imagine in this much, 6 people living.
Wow.
6 people living.
Wow.
My grandfather, my grandmother, my father, my late uncle, my one more uncle, my bua, my aunt. So imagine and toilet has to be common
Yeah,
outside. You
yeah,
have to
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
And recently I went there because
Ah.
we still have that place, and I went there and I saw, and I couldn't imagine that how a man coming from here can create a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not being my father or not being the legacy that I come from, but just a person coming from here, how he can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
know
think very beautifully you are pointing this out to this direction. But for me, the one thing that will stand out is कि वो इतना बड़ा सपना भी कैसे देखेगा? How does that person allow himself
yes,
that I
yes.
can't dream big?
Yes, absolutely. See, my grandfather was a cinematographer in those
Oh, is
days.
it?
Grandfather was a cinematographer in
Wow.
those days, and he's done a lot of films. But in those days, the film market was not so very lucrative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays, being a cinematographer or a DOP can make you a millionaire. But in those days, it was not. It was a very volatile
True.
profession. He used to work a lot, do a lot of films. Sometimes payment you did not come, and so those were the troubled times for them.
Hmm.
And my aunt, my bua, she is a professor. She's now retired, but she was a professor for 40 years.
Hmm.
And once she started her professional journey, stability came into the house. My late uncle started working, and that's how dhere dhere stability.
Right.
But still, they were there only, And as you rightly said that how one can
Think. Yeah.
think. So it's all about vision, I feel, and
Hmm.
and that you believe in yourself that you can
Hmm.
do it.
Hmm.
And my father started his journey in the same manner, that he always felt that, see, in those days, in 70s and 80s, Doordarshan was there, but a lot of infotainment was there. Entertainment was not there.
Right.
Shows like Krishi Darshan, Amchi Mati, Amchi
Yeah, yeah.
Manus, and
Hmm.
infotainment shows. Uh, my father and my uncle started doing advertisements, paper advertisements, still advertisements for some of their clients. And through one of his clients in those days, he met in 1985 the information and broadcasting minister back then,
Okay.
Hmm.
Mr. Vasant Sate. And he was 25 back then. And he went there and he met, and he's like, he was very much enamored by the West, very much कि वेस्ट में इतना एंटरटेनमेंट है,
Hmm.
इतना आगे बढ़ रहे हैं वो, तो हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते? Why don't
Good.
why Doordarshan being the largest terrestrial network back then,
Yeah.
why can't it experiment with content? And Mr. Vasant Sate told him a very good thing, that young man, can you look out of the window? It's like, yes, if you can, even I can. What do you see? I can see trees, I can see everything, buildings.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You can see them in color? तो बोले, yes, fortunately I can see them in color.
Hmm.
तो बोले, this is what I'm trying to bring color TV into this country. It was a time of
Yeah.
Asiad Games.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And people are not allowing me to do so, because at that time
Hmm.
the capitalist mood of the country was not there. It was more of
Hmm.
leaning towards socialism. But how do you expect me to invest in entertainment?
Entertainment.
So
True.
बोले, you don't need to invest.
Okay.
You just lend me your slot. I will pay you for your half an hour. I will make content at my own cost,
Wow.
and I will earn through advertising if that
Wow.
content works.
Okay.
It is a no loss proposition for you. You just have to lend me your airtime.
So this happened in 90s, you saying?
80s.
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 Yeah.
And that's how that idea struck Mr. Sate very well.
Okay.
And he directed that to meet the Director General of Doordarshan back then.
Oh, okay.
And that's how their journey started in 1987 with first Marathi serial called Bandini,
Bandini.
which was directed by my uncle, late uncle, and of course produced by both of them. And that went on to be a raging hit in Marathi, Bandini. Then Hello Inspector, Paramveer, a lot of. Then in 1991 or 1992, when Mr. Subhash Chandra started ZTV, India's first private
Yeah.
satellite television channel, we produced a show for ZTV called Commander for 3.5 years,
Okay.
which was a runaway success.
Hmm.
Again, directed by my late uncle. My late uncle holds a record in Limca Book of World Records for directing the maximum number of television show episodes himself, being on set.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how the journey started. Then more continued with Doordarshan when DD Metro came, shows like Shriman Shrimati, all were in this format.
Yeah.
This was called sponsored slot programming.
Sponsored
You
slots.
buy the
Yeah.
slot, make content at your own cost, and earn through advertising.
Hmm.
And the beauty of that was that the IPR belonged to you,
Belongs to
because
you
no one commissioned you to make it.
to make it. Yeah.
And then in 1999, 2000, that had an idea of forward integrating that now I'm making for Doordarshan, for other satellite channels, but I want to have a satellite channel of my own.
Yeah.
And that's how the idea of Sub TV came.
Yeah. That's another leap, I think.
Yeah,
right?
that is
It's
absolutely.
yeah.
So just tell me one more thing, Kailash, when you were born, like in 90s, right? Usse pehle you have had a very humble beginning as a
Hmm,
family, right?
hmm, hmm.
What is there when you are born in a family where it is all surrounded by entertainment people, and it's also surrounded by, I think, a lot of celebrities, if you actually look
Hmm,
at us, right?
hmm,
So because of the fact that you go on the set, you meet actors, and a lot of
Hmm.
your young generation would want to understand this also,
Hmm,
right?
hmm.
How you grow up with them, because एक कुछ होता है जो बोलते हैं कि we are born with first generation entrepreneurship होगी है,
Hmm,
second
hmm,
generation, right? जब आप लोग उस जनरेशन में born हो रहे हो,
hmm.
where you are actually there and meeting those people, you will get some kick as well, right? So how
Hmm.
was it to you know stay humble at that point
Yeah,
when you were
yeah.
growing up?
So
And looking at you, you're so humble,
Yeah,
right?
one
Right now
step
also.
in humility and one step is in the famedom. So
Yeah.
how do you balance?
How do you balance?
I mean,
Yeah.
see, humility, I believe, should be there in every individual. Honestly, if whatever is created by my father and late uncle. So, I mean, there's no reason that I feel that I should not be humble about it.
Hmm.
And even if, let's say, something I create in the future, I should be humble about it.
Absolutely.
Humility is the only gem that you can carry on, firstly. Secondly, to answer your question, Udit, I think after the age of 8 or 9, I started going to sets, because that is when you come to know of
Yeah.
things. Till that age, to you are in school,
Yeah.
you see things, but you don't
Yeah.
actually understand a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a father to twins, I know that when you're small, you're just small.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started going at the age of 9, 10, mostly to my mother's sets, because at that time she was shooting 4, 5 serials together. I've seen her leaving, let's say, at Monday morning 7 a.m., coming back on Wednesday 7 a.m.,
Oh.
shooting 3 serials at one time.
Hmm.
One show,
Hmm.
then a horror show which has to be shot overnight, doing that, then another episode, because daily telecast. So you have to be there.
Yeah.
And coming back. So in my mostly in my vacations, I used to go on the set. I used to interact with a lot of actors back then, and actually they took me as a son of the
Yeah.
producer and the director. But they were all very, very sweet to me,
Okay.
because the actors had most of that time. Because see, what happens is that when you work with them, naturally, my mother worked with a lot of actors back then, and still she does. So naturally, they become friends.
Yeah.
When you're working day in and day
Yeah,
out,
it's kind of
and
an
if a show
extended
runs for like
family.
5 years, then
Yeah.
they become like family, because
Family.
you're working with them a lot. And similarly for dad, I mean, he knows the industry very well, and there are some very good friends of his. So for me, as a child, I used to like to go to a lot of these award functions, the television award functions. But there was, I never felt a very starry value about those actors, because I've seen a lot of them very upfront,
Yeah.
coming home for dinner or just a tea or just to meet. So I just took them as my aunt and uncle, and still I take them as that. All of them are very established, all of them are very humble,
Yeah.
all of them are very sweet. But because since, as you said, that I've seen them since childhood now,
Yeah.
so for me the starry factor
Hmm.
is not there,
Hmm.
honestly. Like, and that's very obvious. Like, I wouldn't go if there is a superstar standing in front of me. I've seen a lot. I wouldn't want a photograph ever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've seen them
Not
grow
that I
up.
know
Yeah,
him or I will meet him.
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
see, I have never been to many such celebrity parties also, because as a family we are not much into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do go some
Yeah,
places,
yeah.
that's not the case, but we are not so much into that. But even if
Hmm.
we go, it's not a very, because you see, even though you don't know a few people, but it is not a very glitzy factor for me.
No, I think it also depends on how you've been
Raised.
raised,
Yeah,
right? Frankly
yeah,
speaking,
yeah.
Totally.
because I have seen, and with due respect to everybody, but I have seen people getting into airs, thinking about that they know a lot of people, etc., etc., and especially in our country, right? So that's why this question came in mind. How is it to actually grow up when you look at all these people, right? So that was the main reason for it.
You need to understand the gravity of all the relations also.
Yeah.
So there's no point being airy about anything,
Yeah.
because things are sometimes very intangible.
Yeah.
So only tangible things that you own and you possess, you can touch, it's fine. Otherwise,
Yeah.
things are very intangible.
Yeah.
What you build on your own merit is only what stays with you.
Absolutely.
So, and मैं हमेशा एक बात बोलता हूँ कि कोई भी चीज का अपनी उपलब्धियों का गर्व करो, घमंड नहीं.
Yeah.
This is
Well said. Yeah.
thing that I follow कि कोई भी अपनी उपलब्धियों का गर्व होना चाहिए, घमंड नहीं होना चाहिए,
True.
because उसके बीच में there's a very fine line, एक महीन सी रेखा होती है
True.
गर्व और घमंड के बीच में.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
be always take pride in your achievements. Don't boast about it.
Yeah, yeah.
If they are so big, then the world will boast
World
about
will
it.
boast about it. How
yeah.
sweet. I have a question. Would you want to carry on with your thought, or shall I just
No,
jump on?
you start.
Okay, so second generation. When you are a second generation at any level, entrepreneurship में हो गए, या मेरे father engineer थे तो मैं engineer हूँ, या whatever profession. It's very easy to say you've got a silver spoon, or you've got a launch pad. But I feel, and you could correct me, or you could just take us through your journey, that how difficult it is to prove yourself as a second generation.
It is, because see, people, you definitely get an advantage, you definitely get an edge, you're welcomed, but it stops there.
Hmm.
You know, you're welcomed, it stops there.
Hmm.
Then all depends upon what are you delivering.
Hmm.
Like you will definitely get a meeting, you'll definitely enter the door, but how you step out of the door is upon you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wouldn't negate the fact that being the second generation, there are no advantages. There are definitely advantages. But if you cannot convert those advantages into opportunities, then it's your fault.
I agree. I totally agree.
And it's very difficult because see, you have much more harsher lens also.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is what I want to come to. That
People-
is it disadvantages at some point?
At some point, yes. See, what happens is that everything carries, there are two sides of the same coin. Everything carries positives and negatives. So it's not so, I will say that it's not so easy also. It's quite difficult because everything has a flip side.
Yeah, yeah, and it has a precedent set. Na?
Yes,
A
it has a
comparison
precedent. There is
हमेशा है.
there is a legacy. The legacy has its advantages, disadvantages, many things.
Yeah, and when you do, see, someone could say कि मुझे ये continue करना है, ठीक है? And someone could come with a very independent set of mind, and especially like looking at your journey, that you went out, pursued your, higher education from London School of Economics, coming back. Were you at that time sure कि मुझे family business में ही जाना है, or were you still wanting to explore your own feet and then seeing कि ये मेरी specialization है, so let me put it back to the business?
So, one thing I'd like to say that my father always taught me one thing, even though at the helm of his affairs at Sub TV, and Sub TV became a raging success within few months of his launch because of the comedy
Yeah, yeah.
shows like
Yeah,
Office,
yeah.
Yes Boss and everything. He just told me one thing that, you have to study well. Because business aaj hai, kal nahi hai, you don't know. But you should build yourself so well in terms of academics that कल को आप किसी बहुत बड़ी कंपनी के CEO भी बन सकते हो.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
बोले you should create your own strong base. Your base should be such that if you get something on a platter, you should be able to double it down.
Double.
Yeah. Up. Yeah.
Double it up.
Yeah.
Like you should just make it 2x, 3x, whatever
Yeah.
you can. And that really stuck into my mind. Because at the end of the day, whatever you get on a platter, it then all depends upon you how to take it ahead. So I was very academically inclined, and as I said in the beginning also, that I was very enamored with numbers, so maths and accounts and everything. So I was very clear that I had to do family business. A. B. I was very clear that whatever I have to work in this industry.
Okay.
Media and entertainment.
Okay.
To be very honest. And see, everything requires commerce. Even if you're running an NGO, it requires commerce.
I agree.
True.
Even if you're running a private organization, a public organization, you require commerce.
Yeah.
And media is a very interesting field. It has a blend of commerce because commerce is there in everything.
Yeah.
Science because it involves a lot of scientific elements also. You call it OTT, there is scientific element, television broadcasting, the way the satellite feed works and everything. And arts, creativity is at the core of media. So media एक ऐसा sector है कि जहाँ art, science, commerce तीनों का बहुत अच्छा blend है. You need all three blends to run a media organization. Otherwise,
and
you
I think
cannot.
आपको थोड़ा सा तो genetically भी मिला because
Sure,
because
you can say
to monetize content is something that
Yes.
Adhikari
Yes.
Brothers have known it from the start. They've been the
Yes.
pioneers.
Yes,
Actually,
yes,
उन्होंने
yes,
तो
yes,
पूरा
yes,
format
yes,
create
yes,
किया
yes,
है.
yes. So that's I did my graduation from Bombay. Then for my double post graduation, I went to London School of Economics. After which I got an opportunity to work for the government of India in the erstwhile Planning Commission of India today, which is Niti Aayog. Dr. Narendra Jadhav, my boss, the former member of Planning Commission.
Okay.
I was his OSD in his office through lateral entry for a year. I will always be very grateful and thankful to him to give me that opportunity. That's how, just after my degree from London, I switched to Delhi. I stayed here for a year and worked in the Planning Commission of India, which gave me a huge understanding of how governance works, how government works, how policies are made, how a country thinks, how a country functions. Whatever in little knowledge I could gain, I got. And for that, I will be always very thankful to him, Dr. Jadhav, for giving me that opportunity. Otherwise, and one thing was very sure, before getting into the business, I was very sure that I had to get professional knowledge somewhere, experience of work. It should not be so that you just studied so now you can come and sit. You should work. That is what I strictly believe, and that Planning Commission job gave me that experience. And in 2018, I switched my entire focus into the entertainment business, our broadcasting business. Currently 3 channels, Masti, Dabang, My Boli, and we're soon launching a Hindi genre entertainment channel by the name Dhamal. And then there is a shift from
entertainment is always moving. Is it like always not on a
food,
spurt?
entertainment is the second most consumed thing.
Yeah.
After food, entertainment is the second most consumed. So the forms may change. See, India is a very interesting market. यहाँ प्रिंट भी अभी भी सर्वाइव कर रहा है. It is growing at 3-4% or 5-6%. It's not a joke. Radio is also growing. बाकी कोई मार्केट में आपको ऐसा नहीं मिलेगा. जब बहुत लोग ये बात करते हैं कि वेदर टीवी और डिजिटल, मैं कहा टीवी एंड डिजिटल.
True.
हाँ, टीवी में शायद पे टीवी की जगह कनेक्टेड टीवी लेगा. फ्री टीवी आज भी भारत देश में कितना बढ़ रहा है? It's more than 50 million right now. शायद 60 million पहुंच जाए. Because India is a very diverse market.
पर लोगों के पास ज्यादा टाइम है क्या? Entertainment, I mean,
because of the internet, I will say, and the video which you can see on social
media. आप देखिए ना, कोविड के टाइम सबको लगा था कि बॉक्स ऑफिस खत्म हो जाएगा, बट ऐसा नहीं है. आजाद होने के बाद पठान, जवान, ये वो, हाँ ठीक है, हर दूसरी पिक्चर नहीं चलती है, ठीक है, लोगों के कंटेंट प्रेफरेंस. पर साउथ देखिए,
बट अभी भी लोग बॉक्स ऑफिस में लोग जाते हैं.
बॉक्स ऑफिस इज सक्सेस, ऐसा नहीं है. शैतान अभी रिलीज हुई, डिड सो गुड बिजनेस. सो आई मीन, ठीक है, OTT है, वो सब है, लेकिन अभी भी थिएटर्स, every aspect of media and entertainment will survive.
Absolutely. And you know, the biggest thing which is now coming in is CTV, as you know, we were discussing.
TV, absolutely.
I think it's going to be one of the it's going to be a good trend.
It's a game changer. See, affordable internet है. आज घर पे जो ब्रॉडबैंड है, आपके मोबाइल पे जो affordable internet है, thanks to the network providers and the government of India. Smartphone is affordable. Smart TVs are affordable. Like we were chatting that every 9 out of 10 TV sets that are sold is a smart TV. So if you have a smart TV, you have that inbuilt connected TV app. And if you have broadband connection directly, you can watch a TV. So evolution हो रहे हैं हर चीज के. So and at the end of the day, content ही consume हो रहा है. चाहे आप OTT ले लीजिए, चाहे आप TV ले लीजिए, रेडियो ले लीजिए, हर माध्यम से consume हो रहा है. What is most important is that you change with the changing times. Like YouTube, I think it is the biggest OTT.
Yeah. Totally.
The biggest AVOD platform. आज कितने content creators ऐसे हैं कि जिनके पास कोई शायद formal degree नहीं होगी, लेकिन they are earning into millions of dollars because of YouTube. It's what they speak. They have a smartphone, they have internet, and they are doing it. अभी National Creator Awards हुए.
Yes.
The Honorable Prime Minister gave away the award. So it's such a huge boost. कि यार अब सिर्फ डॉक्टर और इंजीनियर होना जरूरी नहीं है. I mean, डॉक्टर और इंजीनियर होने चाहिए, समाज में उनकी बहुत जरूरत है. चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स, डॉक्टर्स, इंजीनियर्स, that creates a fine balance. Every profession is noble, I believe. But जरूरी नहीं है कि एक फॉर्मल डिग्री ही आपको कहीं पे आज लेके जाएगी.
Right.
So, I mean, look at all the content creators who have got awards. They're all earning in millions of dollars.
Totally.
Thanks to just content creation. So,
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है, थोड़ा फैमिली की तरफ है. You know, especially when you talk about your mother, and I could see your eyes really twinkle at that mention that you saw her doing it all back then. लेकिन सोसाइटल लिमिटेशंस हमेशा एक विमेन के साथ तो रही हैं, यू नो, दे आर मोर जज्ड और हार्शली जज्ड, और समटाइम्स देयर इज अ बिट ऑफ अ अनफेयरनेस और बायस. सीइंग इट बैक देन, मतलब आपके घर में नैरेटिव बिल्कुल डिफरेंट ही था शुरू से. And have you actually seen men, like typically, and I can't vision it, you have to tell us, that like a male body in the family will get make lunch or parathas or serve the family or pack lunch for kids. अब क्या normalize
मेरे घर
है?
में मेल फीमेल दोनों बॉडी को खाना बनाते हुए या पैक लंच करते हुए नहीं दिखा, because my mother was also always working.
Okay.
And I'm very happy,
Hmm.
you know, for that fact, to be very honest, because she's created a name and a niche for herself.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'd like to tell you a very beautiful thing. When I was studying in London, a very dear friend of mine, she told me a very interesting thing during our graduation, and that stuck into me.
Yeah.
She's like, she wished me well. We were all wishing each other well.
Yeah.
And she wished me that find a space for yourself on Google as your parents.
Okay.
Ki when you type your name on Google, something should come up.
Should
Yeah.
come. Yeah.
Bole, both of your parents have that.
High achievers.
Yes. So find a space for yourself on Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
तभी तो Google search engine, Google was always very big.
Mhm.
But at 2013 की आपको बात बता रहा हूँ. So this also very
Yeah.
stuck into my mind.
Yeah, because I do feel that narratives हैं, you know, और कहीं women जो नहीं आगे पढ़ पा रही है, या जो inclusion की भी बात हम कर रहे हैं, and I'm coming completely from a woman's standpoint here, of course, कि क्या ऐसी families हैं जहाँ पे वो narratives actually exist नहीं करते हैं, या उनका अपना ही एक you know perspective है, इसीलिए शायद women grow कर जाती है, because support तो चाहिए.
See, my mother was also very enterprising.
Yeah.
I must tell that even her backstory is a humble beginning only, like a one-room kitchen or a two-bedroom hall kitchen with my nana, nani, and my mama. So, but she always had that penchant of growing big in life. She never had. She's a Maharashtrian, but she never limited herself to. She never thought that she would ever do a job. She's done a job. She's done a bank job as a clerk. She has done many jobs, but she never limited herself to that. She used to wake up at 4, take a train, go at 5, do a bank job. शाम को नाटक की rehearsal करना,
Okay.
Saturday Sunday नाटक करना.
Hmm.
Everything she fend for herself.
Hmm.
You know, उनमें भी कभी जैसे डैड में भी कभी वो entrepreneurial spirit हमेशा से थी.
Hmm.
तब जाके शायद आज वो यहाँ
पहुंच
जिस मुकाम पे है वो
Yeah.
पहुंच पाए. मेरी मदर में भी वो entrepreneurial spirit थी.
Hmm.
कि and I think that's how they both of them had met at Doordarshan office only, and they had a love marriage. In my family, everyone has had a love marriage. We never had the concept of an arranged marriage in our family. That is also very different, you know. So वो काफी sense में are मतलब my family is very different in those sense, where that typical stereotype does not dwell into. It's a freedom. I mean, if someone wants to be a housewife, be happily a housewife. If someone doesn't want to be a housewife, then
Yeah.
I mean, you
Because,
have
you know,
all the
speaks,
wings
you know,
to.
Yeah.
I remember बड़ा एक इंसिडेंट बताता हूँ मैं आपको. I spoke with Mark Incident 2020 for the first time. तो कोई हमारे कॉमन कनेक्शन ने उनको इंट्रोड्यूस करा, और मेरे पास मेल आया कि मार्क अधिकारी वांट्स टू स्पीक टू यू. एंड आई वाज हैविंग माय लंच एंड थोड़ा सा कॉन्शियस हो गया यार, मतलब अधिकारी ब्रदर्स के मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर हैं, वो बात करना चाहते हैं, और मैंने घर पे बोला सब टीवी के ओनर बात करेंगे मेरे साथ. ठीक है. तो आई वाज लाइक कि एंड इट टुक मी टू ऑल दोस डेज व्हेन आई वाज ग्रोइंग अप. श्रीमान श्री वाज लाइक, यू नो, वी ऑल कम फ्रॉम अ वेरी हम्बल बैकग्राउंड, राइट, वेयर वी वर ग्रोइंग. तो एंड आई वाज कहीं ना कहीं मुझे था आफ्टर सो मच ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस, बट स्टिल यू नो दैट किक हैपेंड इन मी कि यस, टुडे is the time I'm gonna talk to sub TV's owner. So I called him and he disconnected my call, and I was like, very as usual, people will be busy. He called me again. He said one thing. He said, I am going to call you in 5 minutes. मैं कहा ऑलराइट. मैं कहा सर बट आपने काट दिया था तो बताने की जरूरत नहीं था. कह रहे मैं तो को बता रहा हूँ 5 मिनट में कॉल करूंगा. He called me back in 5 minutes. Right now, exactly 5 minutes he called me back. Right, and that was the time where I realized that, you know, हर कोई सेम नहीं होता. There is humanity, there is humility. अब हर कोई everybody doesn't have hair. That is what I was referring to. Hence, because you have seen that the DNA is like that, right? You make the other people pretty relaxed, comfortable when you are talking. That is what is very important.
Yes.
Right? And same thing has happened with you as well, Kailash. I remember मेरी और उनकी बात हो रही थी. You were on the call. I think you were out on a holiday, if you remember. You had to go on certain holiday and you didn't have the laptop. You remember? You didn't have a laptop at that point. Right? He called me. He said, "कैसे नहीं उसने phone उठाया? मैं बात करता हूँ." Like, sir, ठीक है कर लो. He took you on the call with me and he said कि तेरे को phone उठा चाहिए तो तेरे को call कर रहा है. And all these things, it made me so comfortable in the entire scenario.
July 2020.
Yeah. You remember that
July,
you were out
2020.
somewhere.
Yes.
And he told you just buy another laptop here अभी की अभी. Right? मैं अभी ऑफिस को बोल रहा हूँ. So जैसे कि आप कंफर्टेबल कैसे होते हो ऐसे कंफर्टेबल होते हो. और ऐसे जब आप कंफर्टेबल होते हो ना तो आपको लगता है you're a part of the system and you can work much more harder.
I remember I'd gone for a staycation because COVID था तब.
COVID था.
And I had just recovered from COVID because COVID के आते ही मुझे 1 महीने में COVID हो गया था. I was hospitalized also
हाँ,
for
I
5
remember
days.
you too, yeah.
And घर पे आके recover होके तभी just hotels खुले थे. That too not for only for staying in.
After the first wave.
Yeah.
First wave शुरू थी. July 2020.
अच्छा.
हाँ, first wave शुरू थी.
हाँ.
And I remember me and my wife just going for a staycation घर के नजदीक Marriott hotel में just for one night. And तभी ये हुआ था. तो मैं लैपटॉप नहीं लेके गया था. फिर मैंने फोन से ज्वाइन किया था.
I remember.
अभी मुझे याद आ रहा है.
So
You and your colleagues were there.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is how you become more comfortable. And जब आप comfortable होते हो ना, you think you're a part of the system.
Yeah.
Right? And you work very hard for that. And that is wherein, while we were doing certain work together at one point of time. So we thought, maybe we have to do it. The passion comes in you. You have to do this for, So that's the DNA which Adhikari Brothers have, to be very honest.
Of course. I mean, I believe that work should always come first.
Yeah.
Of course, there are other family priorities also.
Absolutely,
That's a different story. But when it comes to your daily schedule, your work has to come.
Yeah.
Also, this is all good stuff. This is all stuff where you have talked about that, it has all been achievements. I'm sure there was a time where during Sub TV there was certain things wherein, you have to sell the company, etc. happened, right? What was the time? We as outsiders, we are not aware, right? For a viewer also, right? As we were looking at it, suddenly Sub TV became Sub Sony. Right? We don't know about it. So you want to walk us through, of course, keeping in mind whatever you can share with us?
No. See, first thing, it was not about selling the company.
Yeah.
Sub TV was a channel. The company still belongs to us.
Yeah.
See, sometimes you have to think about a larger picture also. It's like sometimes merger and consolidation, or mergers and acquisitions are a way to look forward.
Absolutely.
Sub TV was a homegrown brand by an Indian company, by an Indian promoters. At that time, Zee had become a large corporate. Star and Sony were setting their base up. Of course, they had the capital and the powers of the West coming in. Sub TV made a beautiful mark. And we always thought, हर एक इंसान को एक लगता है कि जो उसने बनाया है, उसकी longevity बहुत बड़ी.
Yeah,
and sometimes shaking hands and being shaking hands with a good group or a much larger group will definitely help your brand grow in the future.
Yeah.
And having Sub as a part of Sony has only benefited us.
Okay.
Not just about the transaction, but also later on. See, today, Sub TV is the world's most watched humor brand.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It is in the top of the rankings in the Hindi general entertainment channels, and I think a crown jewel in entire Sony's bouquet. And Sub is a phenomenal brand.
Yeah.
And the beauty is that Sony is such a brilliant group that it still respects that the founders of Sub TV and that such a great brand.
Yeah.
And not only Sony, the entire fraternity.
Yeah.
And after that also, when Dad launched Masti in 2010, within 4 weeks it became India's #1 music channel. And by God's grace, it's been 14 years and it still is.
Wow.
My Bully is #1 Marathi music channel, and it's been 10 years and it still is.
Yeah.
Dabang is a household name when it comes to Bhojpuri, and now the next stage that we are trying to do uh, in television as well as in other spheres. So it's not always about, many people asked me this question from my friends and everyone, that what made you sell sub to Sony. It is not always that something was not right, so you had to
Yeah,
sell.
yeah. That is
Some
Hmm.
decisions are taken so that, the time is right to have this brand into a bigger kitty so that the future is extremely bright.
exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some things are not done just out of compulsion or just out of situation. Some things are a very logically
Yeah.
crafted decisions.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like a vision. It's
Yes,
more
and
of a
I'll
vision.
tell you, after
Yeah.
2000 जितनी भी channels, television general entertainment channels launch हुए हैं, उसमें 2 ही ब्रांड सबसे बड़े हुए, एक सब टीवी और कलर्स.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree.
बाकी बहुत आए,
Yeah.
नाम नहीं लेना चाहूंगा, बाकी बहुत आए,
Hmm.
बट सब टीवी एंड कलर्स ही वो, एंड कलर्स तो डे वन से वायाकॉम की ब्रांड थी,
Hmm.
सो इट हैड दैट वायाकॉम बैकिंग.
Backing. Yeah.
आज सब टीवी एक वो ऐसी ब्रांड है कि जो इट इज स्टिल स्टैंडिंग एक्सट्रीमली tall and strong,
Hmm.
and it will continue to do so.
Yeah.
So that only fills us with a lot of pride.
Hmm.
And आज भी पहचान वही है.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So उसका तो ये है ही नहीं. And Sony has also taken the sub brand to, I think, 10x 15x level, whatever x you can call it.
Hmm.
But मैं बहुत compelled हूँ एक question. Since you've taken us through the whole thing in a flash, magic masala क्या है? How do you spot on, get that content lineup right there, right with generations? So if I see now, we are almost talking 3 generations at least, easily. अगर 10-10 साल की जर्नी भी देखें, 80s 90s 20s और अब 2020s चल रहा है, तो what is that one thing which always keeps you on the top of your game? Is it the understanding of the viewer market? Is it the commerce side of the business? What is it really that
It's
works?
a mix of all. Because
Okay.
see, entertainment is about creativity, and creativity is about understanding the pulse of the audience.
Hmm.
So one thing that you actually need is understanding the pulse of the audience. See, nowadays you have a lot of data backing also to tell
Yeah.
you, but it's always, at the end of the day, here it's always your gut call. You know
Okay.
what will click,
तो
what will
थोड़ा सा
work.
intuitive element है ना इसमें?
100% होता ही है, उसके बिना नहीं हो सकता, because this is not mechanical.
Okay.
Intuitive call होता ही है.
Hmm.
एंड क्रिएटिविटी एक प्रोसेस ही ऐसा है कि जो भी आप क्रिएटिव इंसान से बात करो, मैं अपने आप को उतना क्रिएटिव नहीं समझता हूँ, since I look into the business aspect of it, but it is intuitive.
So what's Adhikari Brothers focusing on now?
Long form तो हमने देखा है, 100 episode 200 episodes we have seen सब do it all. Short form content के बारे में, what are your views? What
I
you're
think-
seeing now, like on Instagram, YouTube, Reels, Shorts.
Shorts are very good. I mean, see, attention span of audience is shrinking, at least on digital media on YouTube. And the way YouTube has crafted shorts, Insta has Reels, and Snapchat था, Snap stories आती थी. So अलग अलग फॉर्मेट के आने ही वाले हैं. एंड लॉन्ग फॉर्म वीडियोस आज भी यूट्यूब पे है, शॉर्ट फॉर्मेट भी है, शॉर्ट्स भी है. जैसे क्रिकेट था, टेस्ट मैच से वनडे से T20, so वो रहने ही वाला है. एंड वी डू अ लॉट ऑफ शॉर्ट्स ऑन यूट्यूब ourselves, because we have a lot of comedy gags with us, more than 1,000 in our library. So we have started uploading that on YouTube and seeing a good response on that as well. Because everyone, जैसे मैंने देखा है, जैसे मैं कितनी बार जब बॉम्बे में होता हूँ, I take the local train to understand, to observe the psyche of the people.
Really?
And मैंने देखा है कि everyone is glued to their smartphone.
Yeah.
जैसे ही वो ट्रेन
Yeah,
में बैठता है,
yeah,
क्योंकि
true.
40 मिनट तो बैठना ही है,
True.
अगर उसको सीट मिल गई तो वो देखता ही है, मतलब कंटेंट कंज्यूम हो ही रहा है.
हो ही रहा है
So ये
लगातार.
इस पे तो वो देखता ही रहता है.
Hmm.
फिर अब वो लॉन्ग फॉर्मेट देख रहा है, शॉर्ट फॉर्मेट देख रहा है, हर टाइप का कंटेंट कंज्यूम होता है.
Yeah.
Because there is consumer for everything.
One question आ रहा है, with a lot of fame, a lot of power comes a sense of responsibility, right? And looking at Sri Adhikari Brothers, what is that thing which you guys are doing, especially towards the corporate social responsibility as well, right? Because, I remember Markin by talking about some NGO too a long time back. So, are you guys doing something there as well in that arena?
So we do, I mean, for corporate social responsibility, we are quite dedicated to. We had done in COVID a show called Hunar
Yeah.
on TV, where we had कि आपके पास कोई भी हुनर हो आप दिखाइए, आप हमें भेजिए, हम TV पे दिखाएंगे, and we rewarded the gentleman, and we received, because our broadcast network reaches to millions of people
Yeah.
on Masti Dabang and My Bully, and we gave them an opportunity
Hmm.
to do so. And apart from that also, in terms of in COVID, I think we were the very few organizations of this country that we did not retrench any workforce, nor did we cut any salary. It was a very hard
Wow.
time.
Wow.
Wow.
We took ourselves cut,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but we never let anyone go off during COVID, nor retrenched anyone's salary.
Hmm.
Because, and that is completely what, that completely came from my father.
And
Wow.
ये सब चीजों की दुआ लगती है. It is absolute. I must say, because
Today I think that how we went through that period, because media was totally lull,
yeah.
Hmm.
and we managed to give everyone salaries and managed to keep the business afloat. I think it's शायद दुआ ही,
दुआ.
मतलब दुआ ही.
Absolutely.
Entrepreneurs के लिए
एक
कोई
चीज बची है.
Yeah, yeah.
और बता देना if you want to keep it or not. But when you met Shri Narendra Modi, how much time did you meet and what was your experience?
हमने गवर्नेंस नाउ में एक किताब बनाई थी डिजिटल इंडिया के ऊपर, इंडिया PSU IT केस बुक, wherein we documented the real time case studies of how PSUs have embraced digital India and how they digitally empowered themselves. And I thought that this is a book on Honorable Prime Minister's vision, and if it reaches to him, it will be very good. Governance Now does some serious work, and someone advised me to ask for an humble appointment.
Yeah.
And I thought that this is a long shot. I mean,
Absolutely.
but theek hai, I did that, and good fortunes that I could avail of it, and I presented the book to Honorable Prime Minister,
Wow.
and I think it was the most glorious moment of my life. I think that moment defines my life completely. Nothing more or can come within that moment to me. And honestly, I had not even told my family members when I had come to Delhi to meet Honorable Prime Minister. And I told them even after I met them. I had literally no one knew about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
No one knew about it. And
why?
I just wanted to keep it like that.
Okay.
I never wanted to be pompous about it.
Okay.
This is a very sacred moment to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that is something that will be with me for my lifetime. And yes.
No, it's
Yeah.
brilliant.
That's your moment of pride, happiness, and satisfaction. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Kailash, for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you so much, Udit. Thank you, Mamta.
Thank you for
Thank
this
you.
wonderful
One-
opportunity to
No, thank you for the wonderful. As I said that, when Udit called me that he wants to do a podcast with me, मैंने सोचा मैंने से क्या अचीव कर लिया है कि मुझे बुलाया जा रहा है. मैंने कुछ ऐसे, I mean, okay, I'm working towards making the legacy big, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thanks to you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.